Einkorn flour is an ancient grain that is very healthy for you, that has been generating a lot of buzz and popularity recently, and now I see why. Hi everyone, Alexa here from the blog theduvallhomestead.com. Today I'm going to share with you 7 different einkorn recipes that I know you will really enjoy if you love cooking with einkorn flour. I'm sharing these recipes as part of a January Homemakers challenge. Whole month I'm going to be sharing recipes and homemade natural living tips over on Instagram and Facebook. And it's designed to help homemakers like you to thrive in your home and get some new ideas, because we all kind of get the same routines and recipes over and over. And it's nice to just change it up and get some new ideas. So I'm just going to be sharing a new one every single day. Every week is a new theme. So the first week of the challenge is einkorn recipes, because we have been cooking with einkorn for a few years now and really love it. And I've had a few people reach out to me and say, please make an einkorn sourdough starter and do more einkorn sourdough recipes specifically, and just einkorn regular recipes, because einkorn is the only grain that they can tolerate. And that is because it is a non-hybridized ancient grain that is in its original form. So it maintains the vitamins, nutrients, trace minerals that is in the original grain, as opposed to a hybridized grain that is more bred for higher yielding crops. So it is non-hybridized, basically untouched, pure form of grain. That is why it is easier to digest. It's higher in protein and lower in gluten. So some people who are more grain intolerant can in fact tolerate einkorn. But I want to share with you 7 today. So without further ado, the first recipe I want to share with you is homemade einkorn waffles. I had someone on Pinterest write a review. People on Pinterest write reviews. I don't know if you're aware of this, but you can do a recipe on a pin on Pinterest and then write a review. And for some reason, I have some people who really like to do that. And this is one on the waffle recipe. It says, the best einkorn waffle recipe I've tried. I've tried about 10 of these and they're the fluffiest, most flavorful, perfect waffles. So I just had to share that because I agree, they're fluffy. They are inspired by Belgian waffles, but you can use a regular waffle maker for them. And they are a huge hit in our household and a great way to get in your einkorn flour first thing in the morning. The next one is an einkorn Dutch baby pancake. If you have been watching my channel, at least in the last couple of months, you've seen me make this several times. It's a relatively new recipe for me, but we've done it probably a couple dozen times at this point because my family loves it. So it's basically a German pancake. It's one big pancake, so it saves you from having to do a bunch of flipping and all that. You just put the ingredients in a blender, put it on the cast iron, put it in the oven, and you have a nice German Dutch baby pancake. It's very, very delicious, and again, something you can do with 100% einkorn, very easy and nutritious. The next one is einkorn chocolate chip brownies. These are so gooey and decadent and delicious. They have chocolate chips in them. They're homemade from scratch brownies, so no brownie mix needed. I've added peppermint oil to these to make them a little Christmassy, and crushed candy canes, or I just make them straight. They are so good, and the einkorn is a great flavor for them. The next recipe is einkorn cinnamon raisin bread. This is a sourdough recipe, so you do need a sourdough starter. I'll leave a link below to all of these recipes, and of course also my sourdough starter recipe if you want to make that from scratch. But if you're trying to get all the benefits of long fermentation by making your own bread, you can use your sourdough starter and then make this einkorn cinnamon raisin bread. Now, if you are an einkorn fan and a sourdough fan, you might already know that einkorn sourdough bread is a little harder to make than regular flour bread. And that is because, like I said, the einkorn flour absorbs water a little differently, so you have to get used to baking with it. It's also a little bit more dense, so it doesn't have quite of a light, fluffy feel like you might be used to. But I find that when you make something with a flavor to it, with einkorn plus another flavor like cinnamon raisin, it comes out great. And maybe it's just because you're not comparing it to the regular type of bread. Does that make sense? So I love this recipe. This is a great one. You can use your einkorn flour and you're gonna have a great loaf. It's a big hit, great for like a weekend treat or something like that. Okay, next recipe is an einkorn pizza crust. Again, a very easy recipe, great way to use the einkorn flour. I actually have an einkorn pizza crust on the countertop right now for dinner tonight. We're gonna have einkorn pizza. Whenever I don't long ferment the grain, so I can make a sourdough pizza crust the day before, for example, and let it ferment and then cook it the next day, and then you're getting all the benefit of the fermented grain. But if I don't have time, I'll use einkorn flour because that grain is already healthier for you. So I don't really mind if it's not fermented. This, you just need 2 cast irons. You put the ingredients in a bowl, mix it together, let it sit for as long as you have time for, or you can do this almost immediately, and then make your pizza of choice. I like to do cheese, tomato sauce, salami. Sometimes I add some pineapple or some spinach. It's very, very good. Okay, this recipe is the einkorn ravioli, a homemade ravioli recipe without a pasta maker. So this will allow you to make your own ravioli, and I like to stuff it with a butternut squash cheese filling. You can roll it out as long as you have a countertop space. Roll it out nice and thin. You make 2 layers of dough, put the filling in the middle, and some water to press in between the filling to seal the squares together. And then you put the other layer on top, and you use a slicer to slice it into squares, and you have yourself homemade ravioli. And then you just put it in water and boil it for a few minutes. This is a very nutritious recipe, especially when you're making the pasta from scratch and the filling from scratch. Okay, the last recipe I'm going to share with you today is the einkorn chocolate chip cookies. These are made with sourdough discard. So again, if you're a sourdough fan, you can use up your discard to make these cookies. Using sourdough discard and einkorn flour make these really gooey. I just made them again the other night. They are one of the more popular recipes on the blog, theduvallhomestead.com, because I think people really like the combination of sourdough starter and einkorn. They're almost kind of bubbly, chewy, very decadent and delicious. All right, well, thank you for joining me over here to share with you 7 einkorn recipes. I hope you can implement these in your home and maybe even get them on your countertop, print off the free printables so that you can cook them for your family. Don't forget to hop on over and join the January Homemakers Challenge. Make one of the recipes or tips I'm sharing and tag the Duvall Homestead, and I will share it in my stories. Thank you so much for stopping by the Duvall Homestead.